David Stearns here for this first edition of the Playback of the 2015-2016 season. So we're talking Patriots Elite, who sit at a 2-2-2 record, looking to rebound after their first two regulation losses were handed to them consecutively at the home opener to the Richmond Generals. And so they go down to Hampton Roads to take on the Atlanta Junior Knights, Palm Beach Hawks, Hampton Roads Whalers, and Carolina Eagles. Three teams of which are sitting ahead of the Patriots in the standings right now. Atlanta is one standing place ahead, Palm Beach two ahead, and then jump up to the top of the standings from first place currently. It's the Hampton Roads Whalers. Carolina Eagles are the only team sitting currently below the Potomac Patriots, and oddly enough, they have them next weekend back at the Prince William Ice Center for a couple of games. So should be interesting, a nice little preview for the boys to bring the competition back home to the Prince William Ice Center and hopefully get a win in front of the home crowd. So we had the opportunity to talk with a couple of players and, of course, a coach, as we normally do on the Playback. But this time we kind of changed it up a little bit. We do talk to our elite folks quite a bit. We have Nick Ludeman, the alternate captain, coming on here in a second. But we also followed up with Colin Brazel, son of the elite coach, Sean Brazel. And Colin will be playing his first game with the USP3 team this weekend at the showcase down on Hampton Roads. So, without further ado, Nick Ludeman, Colin Brazel, and, of course, Coach Sean Brazel. Joined here with returning Potomac Patriot Nick Ludeman. Nick, you guys had a bit of a rough weekend after a couple of ups and downs in the past weekends. You guys had your first two regulation losses. Now you guys are sitting at 500 with 2-2-2 on your record. Talk a little bit about what you guys are going to do to change it up here going into this showcase down at Hampton Roads.
Well, I think we're just going to keep it simple. And we're going to play the game that we know. Last weekend we decided to, kind of just take an off weekend and not do what we know. And I think we really got to get back to, executing what we practice. And it showed in the past. As soon as we start doing that, games and wins come really easy. So I think that's pretty much what we're going to do.
The addition of Coach Brazel on the bench there. Talk a little bit about that experience. You still have Coach Newton back there with you guys and Coach Cano as well. Gabe Cano. Talk a little bit about the coaching style that Brazel brings into the house here and how it's reverberating throughout the locker room.
He brings a lot of knowledge and experience. So he's definitely a guy that you can trust on anything. He definitely knows what he's talking about. And coaching style, I like it this year. It's straight to the point. And they work with us and let us know exactly what we're doing wrong so we can fix it. And that's pretty much it.
What's the locker room like? You're one of a very few number of returners this year. Obviously, we got some guys that are standout newcomers, and then, of course, you're a standout returner. Talk a little bit about how the locker room's going, and, is the chemistry coming, or, are you guys gelling together?
Even for the new boys, we all know each other. Even if they're new, we've played with each other before, so I think it'll bring some good chemistry.
So talking about the local flavor, then most of the guys on this team obviously come from this region, and also Coach Brazel's experience over at Ashburn. Talk a little bit about what your expectations are with what he's got going on with systems versus concepts is kind of the big thing he's pushing. How is that being received by you guys?
At first, it was new to us, but I think we now learned that we just rely on them, and what we do is what he asked for. So,
All right, I know you got to get out there for practice. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, it's alternate captain Nick Ludeman. Joined here with the newest member of the Potomac Patriots on the USP3 team, Colin Brazel. Colin, welcome to the organization. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in hockey.
Colin Brazel from West Haven, Connecticut, 16 years old. Started playing hockey when I was about 3. Played up in Connecticut for most of my life, and come down here to play with my dad now. So that's about it.
Well, first off, what's that like, by the way? Your dad, being involved with the national team development program and that for USA Hockey, and now being the coach for the elite team. What's that relationship like? Obviously you're on the USP3 team. What's it like at home and at the rink?
My dad being such a high coach, it comes with benefits. Training and knowing certain people and being able to go places other people can't go. I mean, it's been great. Yeah, at home life, it's rough. It could be rough. It could be rough. But other than that, it's good. He's a jokester. He's always joking around with kids, and I mean, he's a good coach. He's a good dad, and he's a great role model. So he keeps me in line.
Good. I'm learning more and more about him as I'm just becoming familiar with him as well. So what do you bring to this organization as far as your play style and that? Where exactly do you fit? Not only on the ice as a position, but also in the depth chart.
On the depth chart, it's that's really not up to me. I can only fight for a spot. But I mean, I'm a left winger, and I use my speed. I like to switch it up every now and then, like go slow and then use my burst of speed to get by somebody. My hands are pretty good, and my best thing is definitely my shot by far.
All right. So what player do you model yourself after? Who would you say, if to kind of give people an idea without seeing you, which player would you best identify as in the NHL? Yeah.
I like to play like Jack Eichel.
Good choice.
Always been a role model. So I've seen him play multiple times, and I'm always watching videos on him. So I mean.
Is it a New England thing? Is that what it is, or is it just Jack's better than Connor?
It's a little bit of both. Playing, I mean, I want to play hockey like him, and
okay.
That's how I like to style myself.
I may have steered you into that one because I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan, so that works out for me quite well. All right. Well, good luck this coming weekend, and hopefully we'll get to see a lot more of you out there on the ice.
All right, thank you.
Joined now with Coach Brazel. Coach, going into a showcase weekend, modified schedule here because of the impending weather, but I know it's not going to change any of your game plans here, but what are you rolling with here after your first 2 regulation losses this past weekend against Richmond?
We need a higher compete level. I think after this weekend with Richmond's clearly a great hockey team, but the bottom line is I think we can compete harder than that. So what we're rolling with this weekend is a little bit more heart, a little bit more desire, and hopefully a little bit more intensity. And we're not going to let this storm get in the way of what we're going to do.
You're coming up against a few tough teams there, especially like the likes of Atlanta, who is undefeated right now. Early on in the season yet, talk a little bit about the depth in your roster. You've made some roster moves where you have a player removed and then another added. What are you looking at here as far as your depth?
I think with the addition of Lima Muradov, we have someone who's going to drive the net hard. He's not afraid to go into the dirty areas. He's got a heavy shot, and added someone like that onto a line that is already full of finesse, I think is going to add the depth we need in the second line. When you look at lines 3 and 4, we have a lot of grit. We got hockey players who aren't afraid to shoot the puck, and they're going to go into the corners and dig out the puck. And that's the kind of hockey game we need right now, because at the end of the day, we don't have 22 goal scorers. We have 22 hockey players who are playing hard.
So talk a little bit about how practice has gone for you this week. I mean, I got to witness here this Thursday practice here before you guys hop on the bus and go down to Hampton Roads. What did you guys particularly focus on this week?
We focused on hopping up the intensity. I think we had a couple flat practices on Tuesday and yesterday, and today we had to amp it up. Nothing's free. They're not going to give us wins when we go down and play in these showcases. We have to earn it. And in my opinion, as a coach, my job is to make sure that these guys are ready to go in practice, on ice, off ice, and they're ready to show up. You can't just step on the ice and execute. You got to be ready to go. So I think we're starting to work on that, and we're starting to understand the mindset that's required of a winner.
What's it like in the locker room right now? Obviously, with some players shifting through, you got, a new goaltender you just added in this past weekend, a new guy up at the forward on your second line. How do you feel about your team right now, about the names that you see on that roster of yours?
I'm proud of these boys. They're working hard. Most of them have been with us since August, and these kids are working hard. They're not missing practice. They're in the weight room. They're driving. Anytime we have a new addition to the roster, they welcome that hockey player with open arms, and he's an immediate family member. So I'm happy with how things are in the locker room. What I want to see is how things are on the ice.
Call out any specific player on anything good or bad that they've done? I mean, do you have anybody that you're focusing in on particularly?
Potomac Patriots. That's who I focus on. All of them, both Empire and USP3 and the Elite team. We're one program with 2 hockey teams, and that's who I focus on.
All right, well, let me ask one quick question here. You got a few injuries on your roster here, a couple of upper body injuries. How does that affect your game plan moving forward? I know you may be running a little skinny. Are you calling anybody up?
I'm not calling anybody up. We're gonna play 10 forwards, 5D, 2 goaltenders. And it's not that I'm afraid to call anybody up. I just feel that we need to work hard and we need to work hard with the elite team. And the two injuries are going to hurt us, no doubt. When you look at missing Logan Holst and our team captain, Devin Melise, I mean, those are two hockey players that you have to have in a lineup. And the reality is we don't. So what that means as a coach is that there are opportunities for kids on the third and fourth line to step up and show me what they're made of.
All right, well, good luck this weekend. We'll catch up with you next week and get your recap on what happens down in Hampton Roads, and be safe.
Great. Thanks, David. Look forward to seeing you back at home.
Well, here's hoping that the guys come back with all 8 points on the weekend. But regardless, we will rejoin you back here next week with the reaction from the Hampton Roads Showcase from players and coaches, and, of course, a nice lead-in to the next set of home games against the Carolina Eagles. Next Saturday, 5 p.m., Sunday, 9:10 a.m. Catch all that action here on the feed, the Cross Ice feed, and we'll catch you then. As always, don't stop believing.